Whoop. That and the sit next to me.
No, I'm
glad you did it. No, that was my one job today. And then,
Did everyone sign in?
I did not, sorry. Coming up.
Anything here?
Services.
You wouldn't mind signing in?
Make a lot. Okay. I'm gonna try that.
Well, you can always send it.
I can send somebody, I'll probably definitely send him, because he handles a lot. He's kind of morphing into, the deputy sort of morphing into like a lot of personnel stuff, because he has so much more experience. I haven't hired him for 5 years.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started. This is today's workshop for Tuesday. We will have our ARPA workshop today at 2. That will also be live streamed, I think with the cameras, Martha?
That's the plan, as long as you guys are up there, we'll have the cameras.
Okay.
I plan to be here with,
You wanna have it down here or up there? You know, I don't think it's really our choice at this point. We're gonna
if we
kinda,
wanna have cameras,
yeah.
and that will, I think, be helpful.
I think we're gonna have a little bit of a crowd, so maybe it's better, I think, that we're up there. Okay. We'll just kinda play it by ear. Either one way or another, we'll either be audio from here, or we'll be video from up there, starting at 2 o'clock today.
Correct.
And that is to go over ARPA, the applications we have, and kind of start throwing out some ideas of how we're gonna spend it, and categorizing it, and let the cream rise to the top, I guess, and try to clear some off the docket. Roll call, clerk?
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Here.
Mr. Malloy,
Here.
Ms. Frenchco.
Okay, we're gonna start off today, with, Herm Brewer. He's gonna talk to us about a Veterans Initiative.
Commissioners, Herm Brewer, Trumbull County Veteran Services, start off with some good news. So now that it is October, we're headed into, Military and Veterans Appreciation Month, which will be in November. Veterans Day, we know, will be November 11th. We'll celebrate it on Friday, November 10th. We'll have our annual, services here at the church, and then the parade will, follow the services. But the National Association of Counties, which, I'm a part of their, board through the National Association of County Veteran Service Officers, they're announcing an initiative, and it's a national initiative to recognize the 29 states that have county veteran services, as we do here in Ohio. So what they're announcing is something called Operation Greenlight. In October, I'll partake in a fly-in to DC to highlight county veteran services across the country. And what this Operation Greenlight is, this is an ask of the counties to light their, buildings green for November 6th through November 12th. I will coordinate with the maintenance department, and we will, fund any of the, necessary types of, equipment that might be needed to do so. So that's what we're asking for, is the support of the county to recognize county veteran services by lighting those buildings green for that 6-day period. I have a copy of, the national initiative, as well as a copy of a potential resolution, to provide to the county. And, as always, just so you guys know, the, county veteran services here in Trumbull County, for the period of August 1st of 2022 to August 1st of 2023, filed more disability claims due to recent legislation that, made eligible veterans exposed to burn pits. Our offices filed more claims than they had ever filed in the past. So, well, we really do, appreciate all that the support that the county commissioners have given us over the years, and look forward to that continued support through this initiative.
And how long do you want the buildings lit green?
That's from November 6th to November 12th.
So just a week?
Just 1 week, yep. And,
Bill Hart, Herm had proposed an initiative at the Veterans Program, November 6th to November 12th to encourage lighting up the county buildings green.
Okay.
Can you make that happen? Is that something in your
We
capabilities?
normally just put the green in the courthouse clock towers, because we don't have the capability of wrapping the courthouse in green lights, so what we normally do is just light up the tower.
Can you look at maybe some of the other county buildings, see if there's any, even just an overhead flagpoles, door lights, something like that we can do?
Yeah.
Try to beef it up a little more than that.
Maybe just hook a spotlight to the existing light, I think they're $277, so.
I just ordered the green film that just goes over the flat bulbs, so I just ordered that this morning, so, we're gonna light our building green.
Okay.
We might do our building for the
I don't
month.
know if we could do the flagpoles downstairs, but it may darken the flag, but we'll look at.
So the equipment that NACO recommends, which, you can follow that, I think I emailed you this, but
Did
there's,
you?
yeah,
Okay.
there's the information, but they have all the information there, so this is a national program.
If you email it to me, I'll get it.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
So the resolution should be passed the week before
Yeah.
Veterans Day?
Yep.
Is that probably the best thing? And this is the sample resolution?
That's a sample resolution.
Okay.
And I have all of this electronically, so I'll email it.
Email it to Lisa.
Yep,
Yep,
absolutely.
that'd be perfect.
I'd like to do that if we could more.
Yes, absolutely.
And Bill, if you can work with Herm and just, see what creative ways we can add a little green light to our buildings that we have.
If that film will work, I mean, we light up the courthouse for, breast cancer awareness, we do it for, autism awareness, you know, they, Board of Health calls, you know, we just do the tower, but if we could do a film that we could put on a frame that we could just stick over top of it instead of trying to, you know, lay it on there.
Have you proposed anything to the city, for City Hall or anything
I
like that?
have not, no, it's a NACO program through the National Association of Counties. I'm not sure if the National League of Cities also has that. I can reach out to them too.
Okay, and even the ag building, Bill? Bill, if you can check the ag building too, the entranceway in there, there's a little something different that people do drive by, just, the wonder why it's green, and that's what it's all about, is they wonder, they find out, and then they realize
The ag
we
building?
need to honor the veterans, yeah.
Okay.
Appreciate your time, thank you.
Okay, anyone else have anything before we get started? Okay. One, dispense reading of the minutes. Two, rescind the meeting related to funding for transportation in Commissioners' hearing room on October 4th from 1 to 3. Let's see. We never gave an affirmative vote. Okay, so we're gonna rescind the meeting that is set for October 4th.
We never got a vote from
Okay.
Mr. Campbell.
So then we could possibly add that on there again, or what's the plan with that?
I'm just gonna take the vote to rescind it. So
Okay.
I have a full vote because you voted for it and Ms. Frenchco voted against it.
Okay,
She voted no. And then I don't have a vote from Mr. Cantala Mesa.
okay, and this was, the meeting was not gonna be able to be attended anyway by
Right.
MRTA, and that's, because
With him being at the other end of the dais.
or anyone from
I
East
mean,
Main, I guess, for that day.
with him being at the other end of the dais and the interruption,
I understand.
I thought they both voted yes, and when we watched it, he didn't.
Okay,
So I need to get that.
okay. Then we'll go ahead and, scratch that and maybe talk about that tomorrow. All right, approve the bills. Number 4, approve additional appropriations, Sheriff's Department, $40,000 and $20,000.
The 40,000 is the.
Martha Yoder, Auditor?
Sorry, Martha Yoder, Trumbull County Auditor. The Sheriff's Office is getting a TCAP allocation from adult probation, and that revenue was approved last week in the Budget Commission. And then, the other one, the 20,000, is additional technical equipment needed, and the increase in estimated revenue due to federal seizure money being received was also approved last week.
Okay. And then number 5, transfer appropriations, sanitary engineer.
Bob Myrano, sanitary engineers, the $55,834.60 is to cover our remaining Mosquito Creek engineering expenses for the plant upgrade, and I'm transferring that from plant facilities. The $6,000 is so our engineering group can buy a R2 GIS locator, and we're using that on our service line project, where we're trying to find everybody's service line. And then the $40,000 is for our express underground, settlement on, out in Braceville.
Health Board.
Okay, so the one, just a reminder, Martha Yoder, Trumbull County Auditor, just a reminder, all of these are within funds, they're line item to line item, so there's not any transferring between funds here. The Health Board, I gotta find it. The 15,573, it's actually the 12,499.96 and the, 3,073.37. Those are to fix over budgets and furniture needed for the new building that they're moving into. And those were actually two different funds. I have them together on my sheet, them apart. And then the 1,200 is needed for annual training. The 20,000 is also items needed for the new building. Moving on to the treasurer, that's the hotel needed for the CTAO Fall Conference. And the prosecutor is, they're closing out the fiscal year 23 victim witness grant. And Children's Services is an increase in trainings and travel expenses, clothing needs, birth certificates, Christmas gifts, and special services for more children in foster care.
All right, thank you. Number 6, to complete and submit paperwork to the Ohio Department of Taxation for the approval of transfer funds for security services from the Special Tax Levy Fund to the County General Fund per ORC 570524. The approval of transfer funds is needed from the Ohio Department of Taxation to pay for the security services provided by the Trumbull County Sheriff's Office to Trumbull County Children's Services. Children's Services will be responsible to compensate the sheriff as invoiced on a monthly basis for a total amount not to exceed $90,826.54. Trumbull County Sheriff's Office will furnish one deputy to Children's Services to provide police and security services duties. Services are provided for 12 months, January 1 to December 31, 23, in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code. I received a call on this from, Major Villanueva, and he explained this is, the way that, this is a way to get it paid. It's just the right, proper route to make sure they get paid. They haven't been paid, and, there was a glitch, as we learned a while back, from Mr. Gargano, and this is the way, working with the prosecutor and the state on how to make sure that we get paid correctly. Is that it, right?
Yes, this is Rebecca Smoralia and Timothy Schaffner from Children's Services, and yes, you indicated that correctly. Attorney Toth advised us on the process that we had to follow Attorney Toth's office. At this last step, Tim had already sent his letter to the Sheriff's Office outlining how the services provided by the Sheriff meet the requirements of supporting Children's Services. Provided his letter, our board passed a resolution approving the transfer to the Department of Taxation. Your consideration of that and requesting that for them to allow that transfer.
Okay. A lot of moving parts on that one, just to get
A lot
paid.
of moving parts, yes, but you do have all of the paperwork. I know Major Villanueva sent all the paperwork.
So essentially, this was, Mario Cantalamessa, Commissioner, this was, before, the Sheriff's Department was entering into a contract with Children's Services. Is this the same one, or is this different?
This is different.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, prior to this, we were hiring retired deputies ourselves, that they were commissioned by the sheriff, but the sheriff then informed us that that was not allowed, we couldn't continue to do that, the practice had changed. So we could no longer hire a retired deputy, we had to actually have a sheriff's deputy assigned to us. And then Attorney Toth told us this is how we can pay for that.
Well, and
Before we
essentially,
weren't paying.
you still have to contract with the Board of County Commissioners, not with the Sheriff's Department, because we're the contracting authority.
Okay, number 7, approve the enterprise zone agreement with Millwood Incorporated. The company is requesting tax incentives of 60% for 10 years for the construction of a new facility located at 3708 International Boulevard. located in the township of Vienna, Trumbull County. Millwood Incorporated plans to create 50 full-time jobs at the project site within 4 years of completion of construction. Vienna trustees met regarding this yesterday, and then has a copy of the plan. Anybody from Millwood here?
No, but we can contact Nick if you'd like, he's, at the office, and just one comment, I believe the zip code just needs to be changed, there's a typo.
Yeah, it should be 7-3, not 3-7 at the end.
You want,
It's, 60% for 10 years, is that common?
again, I defer to the expert, do you want me to call him?
Yeah, can you do that?
Okay, can you dial this number for me, unless you want me to get up and do it?
I don't think.
Is Nick listening?
The call.
Oh,
Calls in, we can't
all right.
call out.
Oh, duh, okay.
That's all right.
Well, we've had
I'm not familiar with this, I'll call him.
we've had abatements for upwards of 75 or even higher, of abated real property tax, so, this is not unusual by any means. Actually, kind of lower.
He's available, he just couldn't come over.
Yeah, 'cause it's
for
right
the
in one place
meeting.
and wrong in the other.
Sorry, I had to call you from my cell phone because I didn't realize that the conference room phone was in use. I should have known that. But in any case, Commissioner, can you hear Commissioner Malloy?
I can hear you good, Nick, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, we're just going over the, Millwood tax abatement. Just wondering if the 60% over 10 years, where they came from, is that common? Your thoughts?
So 60% for 10 years is the maximum allowed, without school board approval. So that is actually pretty common, especially in our townships. Some cities and villages will go up to 75%. And then on even larger projects with school board's assistance, they'll go up to 100. So for a township, it is 60% for 10 years is pretty normal. The Vienna Township did vote on it last night. They passed it unanimously. And Millwood is an existing business in their community. They're doubling the square footage of their office facility and adding 50 jobs, which is almost doubling their office jobs. So this is gonna be a significant impact to an existing company that's been there since the early 90s. Locally owned, locally operated. They don't owe any taxes to the state or to the county, and they've been good partners with Vienna Township previously. So, Vienna is in favor of this. The company is, like I said, locally owned, locally operated, and they're a good homegrown company that is looking to, expand their footprint.
Nick Morrow, Campbell Mesa, can I ask, did they petition the schools for the, higher abatement and for agreement in this, or was it just they went with Vienna Township and that was it?
They did not petition the schools. They went straight, they went, below that level, for school permission, because they were looking at their numbers with a tight timeline. They would like to still break ground this year, and that school district approval is an extended timeline, takes close to 3 months, with negotiations and approvals, and they just, they didn't see that as a possibility.
Okay. But it did pass in Vienna yesterday, you said unanimously?
Yes, unanimously passed it by Vienna Township trustees.
Okay. All right, Nick, I'm good with that, thank you so much.
Great news, good job, Nick.
Did you hear that? Good job.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
We did give, Elwood Engineering, 60%, tax abatement for 10 years.
Absolutely.
Okay, and that was Rick Hernandez, Hubbard Township trustee. Staying legal, that's all.
Yeah.
Number 8, Trumbull County Planning Commission requests the Board of Trumbull County Commissioners to authorize items listed to the publication of a notice of intent to request release of funds required for the environmental review record fiscal year 2023 community project funding grant agreement, number B23 CPOH 1188, responsible entity agreement with Trumbull Neighborhood Partnership.
Julie Green, Trumbull County Planning. This is related to a agreement that was approved by the commissioners earlier this year. As the responsible entity, Trumbull County is completing the Tier 1 environmental review record and submitting it to HUD through their online portal. And our office will be working with Trumbull Neighborhood Partnership to complete the Tier 2 level, reviews for approximately between 90 and 100 home repairs countywide for income-eligible, owner-occupied householders. They received $750,000 through HUD for this particular program, and we coordinate with them as well as the city of Warren on a regular basis to carry out these types of programs that assist homeowners with items that otherwise would not be, they would not be able to, have completed, because of the expense. And just to note, Trumbull Neighborhood Partnership is also working on another grant, for the, upcoming lead abatement issues for lead and water lines. And so they're just, continually looking for grant funding to, assist our, residents with these types of quality of life issues. And, we are happy to partner with them on all of these.
All right, thank you. Number 9, concur with Trumbull County Engineer to grant the right-of-way permit for Brian Dre. That's for a driveway pipe. And number 10, notify Department of Liquor Control, public hearing not requested, the liquor permit listed below. This county fair, I think this should be country fair. You just correct the spelling on that. Mahoning Avenue, Warren Township. Okay, number 11, to adopt an improvement resolution determining to proceed with the construction of a Yankee Lake Sanitary Sewer Improvements Project, known as County Project Number 5S18, for Trumbull County Combined Sanitary Sewer District in the village of Yankee Lake and Brookfield Township, and authorize the Board of Trumbull County Commissioners, clerk to advertise for sealed bids for construction of said project. This for the recommendation of Trumbull County Sanitary Engineer. Gary?
Gary Newbrow, Trumbull County Sanitary Engineer. Yeah, Commissioners, we need to put this project out to bid. I know that the public hearing for it isn't until next Thursday. Normally, we wait till we pass the public hearing, then we put it out to bid, but due to that, you see that line item, that $1,089,537 of principal forgiveness, we need to get a contract in place, award a contract by mid-November in order to hold on to that $1 million. So the project will be advertised next Wednesday in the Tribune. We'll have the public hearing on Thursday, and we won't open a bid till about a month later. Now, in the event that the project does get turned down at the public hearing, at that point, we'll have to put out some sort of notice that the bid is no longer, applicable. But as you know, the capital charge projects with the sewer, I don't think we've ever been below 90%. So, there's just a very, very slim chance that perhaps it does get turned down. I don't see it happening, but we need to get this thing advertised.
Okay.
Well, and I'd just like to add, this was sort of touch and go there for a while with, as far as the ARP money that we would potentially need for that. Thanks to what Gary's been able to do in securing all these different grants and principal forgiveness and 0% loan, we're able to make this project affordable and go to a public hearing for people and hopefully be very positive in that public hearing.
Right.
So kudos to you, Gary, for securing all these dollars.
All right, thank you, Commissioners, and like you said, I didn't even need ARP funds to make this one happen.
Which is
Yeah.
incredible, so we
Yeah.
were able to.
So, 10, 20 years ago, the thought of people in Yankee Lake getting this wasn't even a thought. You know, there's no way in the world they would have believed, we'd stretch out that far, but you made it happen, and
Well, it is, some sort of recognition should be given to former Senator Sean O'Brien. He's the one that secured that first line item there, that 1.35 million. And that's what got everything rolling. That's when we went for the engineering and everything else. But he did secure that 1.35.
All right. Number 12, approve the personnel action for the employment of Mr. Benjamin Lowry for the position of laborer with the Trumbull County Sanitary Engineers Department at a pay rate of $14.45, effective October 5th. Bob?
Commissioners, for this labor job at our Mosquito Creek wastewater facility, we had 18 applicants. I called 9 of them for interviews. We ended up getting 3 people to scheduled 3 interviews. One of them was a no-show, so we had 2 individuals that we interviewed. This Ben Lowry actually has a bachelor's degree, has maintenance experience, landscaping experience. He, should be a good asset to the county.
Okay. And he has passed his pre-employment drug screen and background check.
Correct.
Okay, number 13, approve the personnel action for the employment of Mr. Garrett Brady for the position of custodian with Trumbull County Sanitary Engineers at a pay rate of $14.45, effective October 23rd.
This is Bob Majorano again, sanitary engineers. We had 51 applicants for this position. We called 19 of them. We scheduled 9 interviews. We had 5 no-shows, so we had 4 candidates. The top 3 were all pretty close. This gentleman has off-turn experience because this job is an afternoon turn job. And, he can use a floor scrubber, which other people didn't have that experience. So we think he's, was the best candidate.
We had many times more people apply for the custodian job than we did for the laborer job?
Yes, 51 versus 18. And they're the same pay grade and same pay rate.
All right, we just had 2 sanitary engineer things, and I don't see Mr. Chickalo in here again. Really not coming back? Really?
We'd like him to.
I was hopeful.
We really would like him to.
We can add it, we can still have time to add an agenda item here.
It's too early to tell him. He just left last week. Too early. Give him some time.
Okay. I look forward to that day. Okay, with all his transfers, he may be sitting next to me as commissioner someday. That's all he hasn't done. And number 14, to approve the purchase of one 2020 Jeep Cherokee Latitude from Greenwood Chevy in the amount of $24,499, and to approve the use of insurance settlement of $15,236 with an additional $92,662. This is for the vehicle we talked about last week that was totaled. And Bill, you had mentioned last week, you didn't have to do competitive bids, it was under 50, you can go through state purchasing. Is this qualifying here through this Greenwood Chevy?
I didn't look at Greenwood Chevy. But Mike did, so.
It's my understanding, about 2 years ago, we purchased a used, Trailblazer, and we went through the same process. And as long as the sale price is competitive with the market price, because it's under $50,000 and because it's used, competitive bidding is not an issue. The J.D. Power listed value on this vehicle is $50,000. So at the $24,499, we're over $2,000 below, the listed value price of that vehicle.
So we don't have to use that state purchasing list, you don't think so? Or do we need to run this by the prosecutor, are we good on this? Another vehicle thing, I just wanna make sure we don't get caught up in a technicality again on a vehicle.
I was dealing new compared to used, so, I mean.
Mauro, you got any opinion on that?
No, I just, even if we don't have to get competitively bid or anything like that, are there any other quotes that we've gotten?
To compare a
on
used
different-
vehicle to another used vehicle is
Right.
probably almost impossible, since this 2020 could be somewhere else with less options of the one.
Oh, don't get me wrong, I love using a local company too, out of Trumbull County, rather than going to Portage County or somewhere else. I just wanna make sure, with the issue we had before on the vehicle, thing we had, I wanna make sure there's no glitches and it's a total green light from the prosecutor's office, so we don't have to retract and do again like we did
It was
before.
my understanding, as long as the listed value of that vehicle, the sale price is at that price or below it, we're okay, that's my understanding.
Why don't you just run a little check by the prosecutor's office just to make sure. Martha?
One of the things that we had noted when we reviewed the chief accountant and it did not have a fund number associated with this. And in speaking with Captain, Iannucci, did I say it right? Close enough. Mike. He requested that we do it out of, Fund 928, which is sales tax. It's such a small amount, that's fine.
Okay.
So we need to have that noted in the actual, and on the actual, agenda item, it should be out of Fund 928, sales tax.
Do you have the entire story?
I can get that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll make that correct and
I'll
dot our i's
email
and
it
cross
to you
our t's
later.
and.
I don't have
At the time
those,
this was submitted,
right, I
it was
understand.
unknown.
Right, and that's why I actually spoke with him, I knew that it wasn't you, I knew it was.
Okay.
And just so it's on record, the reason I'm asking for the overage, the car market is outrageous right now. If we spend the $15,000 on a vehicle, we're gonna be putting another 10 into it through vehicle maintenance anyway. So I think let's get something that goes over the warranty, and, you know, in the long run, I think it's.
Yeah, we had absolutely no problem with that. When this came through last week, we had no problem at all with it. It's just wanna make sure we don't run into any,
This is the same process I
Gotcha.
went through a couple of years ago, and I did it the same way, and we didn't run into any issues, so I'm assuming we'll.
all right, number 15. Adopt a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of Trumbull County, Ohio, entering upon its journal the filing of a petition for annexation seeking to annex 7.9561 acres of land, parcel number 28522200, also known as address 3972 Youngstown Road, State Route 422 in Howland Township, to the city of Warren, Trumbull County, Ohio, and further known as being Section 40, original Howland Township being Township number 4, and the third range of townships in the Connecticut Western Reserve. And refer to legal description of the perimeter and the map or plat of the territory proposed to be annexed to the Trumbull County engineer. It was filed by Mr. Brian Cohen, project manager for Fiorilli Construction, and filed on September 28th, 2023. So we get out of one annexation and right into another one. Do we know anything about this one? About what it is? Is it a business? Is it vacant land? Anything?
They were pretty vague.
Okay.
Gary Newbrow, sanitary engineer. Commissioner, I was contacted about this too, and, it looks to me like they need public water service. They are right at the edge of where Warren's line is, and Warren's water line on 422, it stops right at the city limits. If they annex in, then it's my understanding the city of Warren's gonna extend that line to give them water service. So that's as much as I know about it.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll learn more about this. Okay, Bill Hart just came back from the prosecutor with a thumb in the air, so.
Yeah,
Who'd you talk to?
Bill Danzo.
Okay?
He said that, just like what I said, it's an apple to an apple, but this apple has more seeds in the price. So, you know, to find a competitive, vehicle, of the nature he's looking for is virtually impossible, and since it's under the $50,000 procurement, and next year, or actually, next.
Which, by the way, today goes up to 75.
Correct.
October 3rd.
So, yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, he's good.
And change
I
orders
needed something,
go,
and then it'll.
I just wanted to double check.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it may go up, yeah, which is good.
the limit
The
for
only thing
change
that
orders
I was worried about was
increased to 20%
not the
as of today
competitive
over the
bidding part, but our
engineer's estimate.
procurement policy would say about quotes.
Well, that's good.
And
An
we're fine,
informal quote.
and we're fine within the
It
procurement.
does make sense
I think I
because you
shared
can't
that
find comparable,
Fricker
I mean,
next,
apple to apple comparison of a used car like that.
I don't remember when I sent it. I was saying the change orders,
No problem.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Julie Green, Planning Commission, the change orders change from 10% to 20% over the engineer's estimate at the state level as well.
Hmm.
And that applies to counties.
Oh, the new Senate bill or House bill, the one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the House bill.
When you say above engineer's estimate, Joe, this is Gary Newbrow. Do you mean when they're bid?
If you have a, Julie Green, if you have a bid opening and the lowest bid is greater than 10%, we have to reject it
Right.
typically. Now that limit is changed to 20%.
Okay, so it's not change orders, it's the bids.
Did I say change
Yeah,
order?
you were saying it was change orders.
Competitive.
Yeah,
Yeah, competitive bids, okay,
I'm out of it, sorry.
all right.
Okay. Number 16, to authorize the Board of Commissioners to join the Trumbull County Prosecuting Attorney to file an application with the Court of Common Pleas for the appointment of attorney, somebody, as legal counsel for Trumbull County Board of Commissioners to provide legal research, advice, and consulting, and handle any related litigation related to a petition for annexation relative to parcel number 28522200, also known as 3972 Youngstown Road, Warren, Ohio, 44484. The prosecutor's office generally assists in matters, but this case is a conflict because they represent multiple parties involved in this matter. And then whatever attorney we hire, we provide legal counsel representation of whatever their rate is per hour. So I take it that's for us to discuss then. All right, when we hired the attorney for the last annexation, how was that process done?
I think it was just decided,
I know there were a lot of phone calls made.
well, there were different
See if they would do
attorneys at first, and a lot of them were conflicted. Now that it's coming back to me, they were conflicted. If there's no conflict in this, and I do think it's important that we do put in the application with the Court of Common Pleas too, because, I don't know where we are with the attorney salaries throughout the year, but if we're spending more on attorney fees than the salary of our prosecuting attorney, of our elected prosecutor, that's not a positive thing. And the way, I don't know if we're close or not, but the way we get around that is to petition the court. It's only gonna take 3 extra days to get that certified by the court, so it's not like, it's not gonna, delay anything by any means. But as far as selecting the attorney, I think that, obviously, if Mr. Berkey's already working on the other annexation, if he's available and not conflicted with this annexation, I would be fine to select Mr. Berkey as well.
So reach out to him.
That's my opinion as a board member, but, obviously, we can't use the prosecutor's office, they're gonna be conflicted. Berkey has worked on the other annexation for us. This is a professional services agreement, there's no RFQs or anything like that need to happen. An administrative action of the board, I'm fine with, hiring Mr. Berkey for this annexation as well. That's just my 2 cents.
Well, I think I'd probably like to let this stew for a week, and if we could table this, give it a week till next week, and just not put out a bid process or whatever, but put the word out, we're looking, just do our due diligence. Nothing against Mr. Berkey, we need to talk to him, which probably won't happen until Thursday, I guess, anyway. We could talk to him on the phone, but let's finish the one first, make sure it goes off without a hitch, and then, maybe bring this up for discussion again next Tuesday.
Sure.
And give each commissioner time to get the word out and get some bids or get some rough estimates, maybe talk to, common police court judges and see if they have recommendations also in our prosecutor's office. Rather than just jump right into it with him, just in all fairness and all openness, I guess.
Sure. Keep in mind, though, that we won't go out to bid, and we won't have an RFQ for legal
Correct.
counsel, unless we want to.
Correct.
But again, we wanna get this process moving, that's the only thing I'm trying to do, so.
Sure. I just don't wanna indiscriminately just pick one, because this is the guy we used last time, let's just pick him again, without doing at least a little bit of due diligence on it to see what's best for the county. Okay. Number 17, pursuant to RC 71322A, to inform Trumbull County Board of Commissioners that Commissioner Frenchco has appointed and designated Ms. Melissa Phillips as their alternate to vote and participate in all proceedings and actions of the Trumbull County Planning Commission in any meetings where she is absent. She notified Ms. Phillips of her appointment and designation in the letter dated September 28, 23. Copies have been provided to the interim clerk of the board. It will be recorded in the journal for record purposes. This does not require a vote of the board. And I don't know if this is the process we usually do.
What
But-
was done last year.
I don't understand, she hasn't been to a planning commission meeting since June of 21, why appoint other people to go and represent her? I don't get it, I don't understand that. I mean, it's on a day when we have meetings anyway, it's always right before the meeting, right before this meeting,
Mm-hmm.
on Tuesday, so I don't understand that, and I guess she probably has the right to pick whoever she wants. I don't know who this Ms. Phillips is, or, you know, if we should be,
I believe she's associated with RAP. This is Martha Yoder,
okay?
Trumbull County Auditor. I think I'm not sure of her exact title.
She's the director.
Is she the director? Yeah, I wasn't sure of her exact title.
I know we screen all the applicants that we put forward to go on the planning commission. There should be some process instead of indiscriminately just picking, I would think, but, I guess we have the power to do that if we so choose to delegate our responsibilities to somebody else. Surprising. I wish all three of us would participate on that planning commission, because it is important. That's where most all of our economic development projects come from, and most all of our stuff comes from. Okay, that concludes our regular meeting, and we got a couple other things, I guess, to take care of. First off, the annexation, I see that it was passed by Vienna last night. It was already passed by Niles, so there will be no decision for the commissioners to make. I would imagine there's some formality we may have to do unless they withdraw their petition, which I don't know if they've done that or if they're gonna do that, with us. I don't know how their agreement reads.
I reached out to Mr. Berkey,
Okay,
and he's gonna let me know by the end of the day, but I think there is gonna have to be some
Yeah, we still have
formality.
to
Yeah,
approve the annexation
yeah.
of that property. What the good part was, is that, I think for the townships involved, was the deal that was executed before this, where, that piece of legislation that the city of Niles had passed about non-contiguous properties that have utilities in the city of Niles, that get their utilities from the city of Niles, will not be annexed, will not be forced to be annexed yet. But in this case, this was a contiguous property that willfully wanted to annex into the city. I still think the board has to pass that, Thursday. Maybe not on Thursday, take it under advisement for 30 days and pass it eventually, but,
well, that's something, I guess, let's get advice from our attorney that we are paying for this, and
Mhm.
if you can keep tabs with Mr. Berkey and let us know by tomorrow possibly, so we can announce whether we have a meeting here Thursday or not.
I think we definitely have to have the meeting.
I guess the big thing is the township, Vienna Township and Howland Township recognize that there's not much, legally that they could do about this particular annexation of this contiguous property into these properties into the city of Niles. So I think, now it's just coming to the commissioners as a normal annexation would. I mean, there's no dispute between any of the municipalities or the subdivisions, so, it's incumbent upon us to vote on this now.
And we should vote in favor of what the board decided, because that's an agreement they came to. It would be probably ill of us to go against what they said, and,
Right, you have the community's in total agreement on this.
okay. Well, we'll look into that.
Yeah, Mr. Berkey, this is Jim Masaki, Attorney Berkey will advise you whether or not the statutory bounds have been met for the annexation.
Okay. Okay, and other business, I had a meeting Friday with the county engineer and his staff and ODOT, the Chamber of Commerce, and Eastgate, regarding Mines Road, behind Bass Pro Shop opening. There is money being put forth as a donation from the Cafaro Company to do the study. I forget what they called it, but it was like a feasibility study type of deal. We have to do something as a board of commissioners to accept that gift, in the county from the Cafaro Company to do the study. We actually have to pay for it, but we have to accept the money, to do that. Engineer Smith knows the process for that, and I'll contact him later today to see if he can assist in writing up what we need to do with that and as they get ready for that. I don't know if it's ready for it this week, next week, but I know they want to act quickly. After they get that, they've got an estimate of what it would cost to put turning lanes on 46 coming out of Mines Road. The necessity of it is, with the diversion diamond, we are choking out the artery that gets people to the mall from the north or from the east or west coming in off 82. Even from the south, the people that come from Youngstown or wherever, up 11 and over 82. We're creating a choke point there with all the road construction we'll be doing for the next 3 years. So, we need, to be able to create a good user experience when people come and shop. This is a big economic boost in sales tax revenue, not only from Bass Pro Shop, but from all the other entities at the mall. We don't want people to just avoid that area and stop shopping there or go online because of traffic. You know, then that would cost us money all the way around. It'll affect the county directly from the sales tax. So we need to do everything we can as a Board of Commissioners and working with the engineer and all entities in the county to create a good experience when people do come to our county to spend their money. I talked to Beth Carmichael the other day, and I had a phone conference with her after we got off the ODOT, call, and I instructed her to, in her marketing and advertising, to please make sure she incorporates alternate routes to get to the mall for the next 3 years in the marketing. And there are people with the Bass Pro Shop, their market studies show that they're gonna draw people from a 90-mile radius to come here regularly. And for destination, there'll be people from further away that come just because it's a Bass Pro Shop, to see the fish tank, to see the mounted animals, for the experience. It's not just the shopping, it's the experience that goes with it. And if they've gotta wait in traffic for 45 minutes on 46 to a one-lane road, and then to get out is a nightmare, they're not coming back. And they're just gonna shop online next time. Bass Pro Shop's looking to open around mid-November, so we're getting right into Christmas season on top of that. So add Christmas shopping on top of the big anchor store grand opening, and we are gonna have a major, major problem on Route 46 and 422 and the whole mall complex. People like us that live here, we know we can come in off North Road, we know we can sneak in by all these, there's different ways we can get in the mall. For a user that's never been to the Eastwood Mall before, or never been in this area, they're gonna follow, Google's gonna tell them to go up 11 across 82, and they're gonna sit on Route 11 for who knows how long just to get off of that exit to get to the mall once we restrict down to one lane on, at the divergent timing. So, Beth is gonna work in all her marketing, she's gonna work with Joe Bell for the mall, and with, ODOT, she was actually calling the engineer's office today too, to get all the possible alternative routes and promote as many as she can, so in our marketing, we're gonna do that. She's also got a, couple of semis, instead of doing billboards on, the turnpike, to encourage people to come to Trumbull County or stop in our county to shop at Bass Pro, she's buying marketing on semi-trucks that go to Cleveland twice a day and Pittsburgh. So those trucks are gonna be going back and forth all day long on the turnpike wrapped with Bass Pro Shop, Eastwood Mall Complex, with directions how to get there and kinda like a mobile billboard. So we're gonna try that route. This is gonna funnel a nice spike into the sales tax that we have here, so once again, it's a big investment by the mall, and with the sales tax stuff, we need to do whatever we can. I'm really, really, really concerned about the traffic and even widening Mines Road. You're talking that's a year and a half away till that happens, by the time they do all the studies and the architecture, and then they actually build the road and shut that down for a time frame to fix it and widen it. Or, when I say widen it, I mean turning lanes at the end. There are no plans to widen the whole road all the way down. But it's gonna create a bit of a problem, so. That's something we need to address, and I'm glad that, Eastgate and ODOT are on it so much and having these meetings now. Us creating the TID the way that we did already, gets that thing up and moving too, that when we apply for grant money, that's gonna be one of the areas affected. I'm sure with the turning lane, we can utilize TID funds for that, $250,000 to $500,000, there, and there are other areas in Howland Township and some other areas that have already been delineated, for use of TID dollars. So, with that also, we appointed 5 members of the TID board last week, and the Speaker of the House appoints, one other non-voting board member. I met with Representative Loychek last Thursday. He is, very tight with Speaker Stevens, and Speaker Stevens is actually coming to speak at one of, Representative Wojciech's fundraisers next week. I got a phone call from Chuck George, area businessman that's working on the West Lawn Development Project, and, he asked to be considered for that position. I, communicated that to Representative Wojciech. He agreed that, you know, Chuck was a good businessman for that. So he's working to talk with, Representative Stevens, or Speaker of the House Stevens, to consider him for appointment. So I don't know if there's anyone else that's been lobbying for that, but, he would be a good representative, not only for the Warren area, but he's from Brookfield, but his main focus is in Warren, but he's got businesses throughout the county. So we'll see how that goes. And then once that's established, then the petition can get their first board meeting going, and, Engineer Smith could probably chair that to get things rolling along with that. And then each of those entities that we pick will pick who their designee is that serves on that, and then we'll be able to kind of move forward with it.
I have a question.
Yes.
Question regarding the diverging diamond. Just because you were talking about it, it came to mind, as a citizen, okay, not as auditor, but this is Auditor Yoder. Is there any, like, site or thing that we can go to check progress on that, what's closed, how many lanes, those kind of things? I travel that weekly for church, and so I was thinking of that as, like, I don't really know what I'm going to get every week when I get there. And I wondered if ODOT has anything, if anyone knows if ODOT has anything out there to, like, be able to check that, so that people can check it. Also, if we're working on that and trying to get people here, tie that in, so people know the status when they're trying to travel.
Julie Green?
Julie Green, I subscribe to their, email listserv where they
Okay.
provide you with weekly up-to-date
Okay.
on construction,
All right.
so I can send you that
That would
link.
be helpful, thank you.
I know that it was on our talk the other day, they were talking about signage. They were talking about the blinking lights, giving instructions, and acquiring maybe more of those around the mall area to guide people in where
Sure.
they need to go. There's also something called a brown sign, which I guess is reserved for tourist destinations, if you see it on the side of the
Yeah.
road, you know, Cedar Point, 3 miles, whatever it is. It's a retail thing, so it doesn't really qualify, but they were gonna go above their head in ODOT and go higher up to see if a Bass Pro could qualify as a tourist destination, to add the brown signage on the area highways, telling people where to go or how many miles or directions. So, they're aware of it, ODOT's aware of it, the engineer's office is aware of it, we're aware of it, and we just gotta make sure that nobody overlooks it when it opens, because this is a multi-million-dollar investment.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're working, the trades are down there working every day to get this building up and running, and, they said they're gonna be ready by mid-November, you know, possibly around the 15th or 16th, and, ready for a grand opening, so that's quick. And they've already accommodated some of the traffic parking problems I worried about too, is if you've ever seen Texas Roadhouse on a Friday or Saturday night, it's all the way to the door of where Bass Pro Shop's gonna be. But they cleared out an area next to Texas Roadhouse, it's gonna be more Texas Roadhouse parking, and they're gonna try to divert their parking sideways and leave the parking lot for Bass Pro, or vice versa, they'll share it. But that is gonna be a very, very crowded area for quite some time. You know, you got TJX there now, you've got Meijer's store, so I mean, you know, if you're agoraphobic or you don't like big crowds and traffic, it's gonna be something for a little bit, and we'll get used to it, and, you know, us as a county, that's dollars, that's raining dollars, that's tax dollars, that's what makes us function, and makes us pave more roads, and makes us put more sanitary in, and hire more dispatchers and everything else, so this is, you know, something that we have to kinda ease the pain, and, all hands on deck, including our tourism bureau and all departments, to welcome business, 'cause we got more coming. Besides this, there's more coming in the county, we all gotta kinda share our space and our limelight if we wanna be rolling the red carpet out for development and rolling the red carpet out for economic stimulus. It's coming if we can accept it, it's all gonna be a matter of how much can we accept. You know, we may be choking on economic development within the next year and a half, and that's a that's a good thing. So, that helps pay for busing, and that helps pay for everything else. So this is all good stuff. Okay, Bill, anything about downstairs?
Vending machines are being delivered Thursday, floor's being done Wednesday.
Okay, and we'll have that wall will be fixed and painted behind it, and the floor things will be up and it'll be ready
Baseboard will be on Friday,
this Friday,
yeah.
after they install it.
After they do after they do the flooring, yeah, we'll put the baseboard down after, just get waxed.
After they move everything in, how are you gonna do the
Well, because
baseboard behind it?
They're scheduled, they can't get in until Friday.
Okay,
So that's the company that's putting the baseboard in, can't get it in until Friday,
Okay.
so that's why it's a day behind.
what about the wall, the paint on the wall there where it's all sagged and nasty?
They're gonna work on it, but if the machines are big enough, we're gonna hide it.
They're not gonna be able to hide it, that's gotta be done, Bill,
The
that's,
ceiling is gonna get fixed.
okay. Yeah, 'cause we can't have, the way they have the candy racks and stuff there, you're gonna see that clearly.
I don't know
with-
what's going there, so.
Yeah,
that's
their
not-
schematic is the candy racks are right in front of that, and we can't have that eyesore there, that's gotta be top priority,
Okay,
you know, whatever it takes.
Yep.
And then if we have them all in, everything there, we can, you know, look for kind of a grand opening of that sometime in the next week or two. We'll do, work the bugs out and make sure everything's finished, but what about the bathroom downstairs there?
we haven't touched it yet.
What's the
We
plan
haven't
for that?
actually get to it yet. Well, that's a major renovation.
I
I
understand.
don't know what cost is gonna be.
We got a food area, we gotta have the bathroom, we got health department concerns.
I mean,
do with that.
I'd have to get a contractor in to see what it takes to renovate the bathroom down.
Okay.
I can do that.
Yeah, please get us a quote on that, 'cause it's, I mean, we got garbage bag over a urinal and, you know, tiles coming up off the floor, and it looks like something in a Subway somewhere. So, yep, we gotta hit these timelines with this. Okay, Jolie Green.
Regarding the Transportation Improvement District formation, you mentioned that you wanted something in writing from the appointed members accepting the designation?
I didn't say that, but I guess
I think it's necessary.
we nominated people, but we should get something that shows that they are acceptive of that, and I don't know if should we send a letter out to all the people that, we nominated, and ask them to reply in writing if they accept and who their designee is, whether it be like the engineer himself, whether it be, Nick Coggins or whatever entity, whether it's Martha Yoder that serves on it, the ones that we nominated, you know, we should get a letter of acceptance for that, so,
By what date would you like that?
I don't know, can we work on that this week?
When would you want it returned?
We do it for
As soon
next
as
week?
possible, you know, let's get it moving.
So by the end of next week?
Mm-hmm.
I'd say you can do it by the Wednesday of next week, by the meeting of next week,
So by October 11, you would like that letter?
yes. And we'll get that letter out on Thursday. Okay, or by Thursday?
On the 12th?
No, this week.
Oh, this
Yeah,
week,
yeah.
okay.
You know, 5 letters to the 5 entities,
Yeah.
they've been nominated to serve on the TID, and can you please reply in writing, or give them a form or something that, you know, we can make a form up that, where they just sign that they accept, and who their designee is. And then, I think Mr. Lloydcheck's thing is on the 10th, and if we can get Representative Stevens to make his appointee that same timeframe, then we can probably hit that for the 11th also then. Open up to the public. Yes, sir, Zach.
Zachary Saletti, Collective Director for Trumbull County Metro Parks. I have, 2 board members here that wanted to address the board on the request that we brought to you guys twice at 2 previous meetings, and they just want to see.
It's on our ARPA sheet too,
Well,
you mean?
Well, part of it
Oh.
is money plus, money for
Accounting.
the extra employee.
Oh, I see. I thought you meant the ARPA.
Well, that as well,
Okay.
Go
Steve Moss, I'm on the, Metro Parks Board, along with Kurt Sauer. Zach has asked us to come to talk about our need for a new employee to take over for Mitzi Sabella, that's retiring at the end of October. And the office manager part-time for the Metro Parks for 30 years. $100 a month. Not an office manager. Zach has indicated that he requested or submitted information to you once or twice, giving you a description of the approximate cost for a part-time person, about 12 hours a month. Or to start the, hiring process. Not without someone. Both you commissioners came to our meetings and Zach is working his tail off to get grants and do other things. I don't know how he does everything he does for the Metro Parks. But to try to put those duties on top of what he does is not gonna be helpful for the parks. We need somebody in, all hours a week to do that job.
You have submitted a job description and,
Yeah. And that's been emailed multiple times.
okay. Have you worked with HR on that as well?
The job description looks okay. I mean, that's all I look at it for, right? I'm not looking at the,
Right.
you know, budget
Right,
behind
right.
it.
Yeah.
The job description itself looks okay.
Okay.
I would like to mention to the commissioners, I wasn't necessarily ready to talk about this right now, but I will. So don't quote me on anything that I'm saying, that a part-time employee per our county guidelines, our current policies, is that we don't offer them insurance. So they are allotted a set amount of sick time. It's very minimal. They don't accrue vacation. They don't get any type of county benefits. What I mean by that is no health insurance. That's a huge, that's a huge hit when it comes to budgetary restrictions.
Sure.
So, I mean, I'll relook at it again. The job description did look okay, but I just wanna make sure I look at everything from a feasibility standpoint, right? We're not missing anything. Obviously, there's no purse pickup anymore, so those things have gone to the wayside, but we definitely wanna make sure that, your budget can withstand that, which really, what I think you're asking for is for the commissioners to increase your budget to withstand that.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of caveat there, right? So I will double, triple check it for you guys to let you know, yes, this job looks good. But besides that, it's really can the general fund absorb that additional cost?
With Kurt Sauer, Metro Parks Board member as well. One of the critical issues that we face with the retirement of Mitzi, who did our, financial, records and sort of all the books, on a contract basis on her own time, is that no non-employee of the county can utilize the financial system that we have, paying our bills.
Yes, that's correct. They would have to be acknowledged as a vendor,
Right.
which we don't love to do, so.
Right, and so that duty, if we don't have the person after the, fall on Zach, our executive director, and take almost a day a month away from the performance of other duties. In addition to that, we're asking for a part-time person for about 12 hours a week to staff our office. We're fortunate to, have been furnished an office on North River Road, which gets about 8,500, cars traveling past it every day, during the week. We've got signage out front. One of our critical needs as a Metro Park, going forward is public relations, communications, and ability to our utilizing public, so that we can look at things such as perhaps getting our own funding via a levy, which we are trying to do and have tried in the past, but all of that requires, public relations and advertising to the public. And if we had a person in the building for even 2, 3, 4 hours a day, 3 or 4 days a week, it would help to increase our visibility and increase our ability to communicate with the public, compounding or adding to the fact that we now have some visibility outside of being in a second floor office and where we were for years prior to this facility. Grateful to Allen Township for the relationship that we've
you know, this long-term or even near-term, this would be a help to, I think, both the county fiscally, budget-wise, and obviously to the metro parks, in that we could ultimately utilize further our cause and hopefully get to a point where we self-fund it, at a levy and not.
Well, I certainly appreciate it, and you guys have done your due diligence. One of the first things, obviously, replacing Mitzi at that rate of pay is impossible. And she's not walking through the door again, unfortunately, for the planning commission or for Zach. But one of the things I started to talk about was obviously contracting it out. That's not gonna work with the Munis system. I found out from the auditor that you have to have an employee there, so I appreciate everyone doing their due diligence and coming up with this plan before, you know, just saying, hey, we need to hire somebody. We've turned over every stone before we did this, so, you know, I think it's necessary and I'd support it, so.
I think we have two options. One of them is we need to expand the budget and really put some effort into making our park district what it can be compared to other parks in other counties. You know, you compare it to Jocko Parks or Mill Creek Park or other parks, throughout the state. I mean, they're operating on a fraction of what those parks do, and I mean, they're grossly underemployed as far as staffing, when you got one guy doing it. So, we either gotta do that and revamp things, or I believe we got to find a way with the accounting and stuff to merge in with another department. And I looked at even our tourism bureau, that if we merged those two units in where they have some staffing, they could at least handle payroll and those types of things, then potentially, you know, we have the bed tax dollars that we get, which is tourism dollars, which everything Zach does in his department is tourism related. I know there's a split, a certain way with the Port Authority on how much the Port Authority gets and how much tourism gets. Maybe there's a percentage of that we can look at peeling off of there to apply some of those funds over to the Tourism Bureau and have Zach be in that department with utilizing the 3 employees that they have there now. Or we just come up with more money out of the general fund, in lieu of not having a levy right now, to bridge the gap in the future of what's gonna happen there. I mean, we can't not shine light on it right now. This isn't anything we can tuck in a corner anymore, and I don't know how Zach has made it all those years with the budget that he has, but it's definitely the lowest budget of any department in the county, and as a department head, and being the maintenance guy, and being the secretary, and being the guy that mows grass sometimes, we need to do something there. I was shocked when I went to your board meeting, and I saw how much property we'd acquired over the last 10 or 15 years, and how many properties we do own. I knew about the bike trail, and I knew about the Frisbee area over at Kent. I didn't know about all these other outlying properties that we have and we maintain, especially on the Mahoning River. Right now, we're doing a major redevelopment on the Mahoning River, removing dams, trying to push economy and some economic stimulus utilizing our river. And we already own the properties there that we own, that Zach maintains. You know, that's something that's only gonna grow and get stronger and more important as a community, as our county grows. And as we get more people in our county, that's another area of recreation people want. And with the development that we have with Altium and Foxconn and the other companies that are coming here, they look at schools, they look at hospitals, they also look at recreation and area, green space that they have to go and get out of their apartment or get out of their condo and go and enjoy. Now, we are blessed that we have so many wildlife areas and farms in the northern part of the county, but the people that are living in Warren, Niles, Girard, Lordstown, they're not gonna go all the way up to Green or to Bloomfield to knock on a farmer's door and say, hey, can I go recreate on your property? You know, we have the park environment for that, you know, that is basically scratches the itch for that segment of society. So I don't know if we just keep doing things the way it's been done, you know, but I think we need to really roll up our sleeves on this one and figure out what is the future for our park district. Because right now, I kind of see it as dying on the vine. I do think the levy you had last time was too big of an ask. You know, myself personally, I voted no. as a resident here, because I thought it was just too big of an ask to go from where you were to where you wanted to be. So I would encourage, if we did that in the future, we take little bites and we grow, and not try to go from tiny to a giant, but, you know, we grow like a teenager, I guess, in steps. Martha?
Martha Yoder, Trumbull County Auditor, can you remind us how much annually the position you're looking at? Cause I thought it was around 14, but I can't.
10,900.
10,900. So, that's not a lot.
No, no.
And that's annual, so to the end of the year, we're talking, less than $2,000,
Yeah,
right? And, cause we would, by the time we would get somebody in there.
yeah, probably not even,
Yeah.
yeah.
So.
If we find the right employee, I mean, that's
Right,
gonna take a
yeah.
special person that
Well,
can jump in Munis and do the stuff for, that only wants 12 hours of work.
Right, and that's another part of this, but, I do think that this is a small little bite that he's asking for, and, you know, my recommendation is that you guys get it on the agenda and just pass it for him. Those things looking ahead as far as trying to do some merging, those are great ideas, but when you're talking about what we need to do right now so that they're not stuck for a while without someone, I can tell you that one of the biggest headaches that we have in the accounting part of what we do is people, having folks understaffed in those areas, and then our staff having to step up and help. And so, and we're willing to do that, we wanna help train anybody that he gets in there, we'll give him a crash course in Munis, but it creates much more work for the auditors, the accounting part and the payroll part of the auditor's office, to have folks have a lot of turnover, which we have in some departments and some public officials, and to have folks who don't know what they're doing or understaffing, having them be overwhelmed, that creates more work for us too. So I just encourage you to do it.
Well, and we have the opportunity, even with the ARPA meeting coming up, to fund, a big project with the bike path, to the tune of $750,000. You know, it's a once in a lifetime thing where we can do that, so committed to the Parks District, and we're committed to the bike trail, and we need to definitely take a hard look at that.
Alex, Stephen Jonesy Bush, Human Resources Department. Like I said, it's been a while since I've gone over this, but I do wanna stress, so Zach accounted for, and I'm just now looking over it quickly, and I do believe that he's accounted for everything. Salaries is $93.60 for this 12-hour-a-week, $15 an hour employee. You know, PRS is included, there's no pickup, that's just the PRS that we contribute. Workers' comp was included, Medicare was included, and there's no hospital or life insurance. So the total package was $10,934. And he also included sick conversion, thank you for doing that, because they do accrue 4.6 hours of sick, and that's it. Like I said, there's no vacation accrual. So it does appear just from, and like I said, I looked over the job description, so I'll leave that up to you guys, that it does appear to include all hard and soft costs, because I know some specifics about that, so.
No, I think that, I applaud Zach, he did what the commissioners tasked him to do. You know, obviously losing Mitzi, you're not gonna replace Mitzi. You love the Parks Department, not necessarily for a monetary amount. And then finding somebody to contract with, you tried that, and we're left with this option, which is fine. But we do have to do our due diligence before we come to this option, that's all I was saying, so.
Well,
Can I put that on for next week's
Yes.
agenda?
where's our best option to take, Martha, to take the $10,000 out of now? I mean,
We'll find a way.
I was gonna say, that's
No,
attorney
it's-
fees for 1 week.
That's not a big deal, we'll get it, general
Martha,
fund.
can you send me which account number you put on the?
Yeah,
item?
I'll get with Christie and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Tim, I appreciate it, thanks for being patient.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll get it figured out.
okay, then work with her, make sure you get it worded on the
Yeah.
agenda, we'll put it on for next week then.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
And then,
Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you guys for coming.
if I could piggyback off that,
Alex?
Alex Stephen Jonesy Bush, Human Resources Department. So Martha kind of just touched on it a little bit, and this is something that, has been coming up, especially the last week. So a lot of our departments, I'm pleading with department heads, I'm pleading with elected officials at this point. A lot of our departments utilize Munis. We're seeing a lot of turnover in accounts payable positions, we're seeing a lot of turnover in clerks positions amongst the county. I mean, sheriff's office, I hate to put you guys, but it's the truth. So I'm getting a lot of calls. And what we're seeing happening is robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? So we're taking one from one department and they're transferring to another. we really have to have some foresight behind that. I am begging from a human resources standpoint and for Martha. 2 people in the last week, I found out, were losing as clerks. I can't attest to how or the value of knowing how to use Munis, knowing how to use Chronos, those positions. We need people who understand those things, and that takes time to train. I want to state that on the record. This is not something that you can come in and you know the systems tomorrow. This takes months, okay? I know because I use both systems, and I did in my previous job, thank God. But with that being said, I'm asking for department heads and elected officials to start communicating a little bit more, right? Like, if you know that you're potentially gonna lose somebody, if you need help with training, HR is here, say something. I partner with Martha very often. We've actually Martha and I have sat down with people, we will have, Martha will loan you, they're not gonna do it for you. So we will have somebody help you, walk you through Munis if you need help. Please, 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 I'm empowering everybody, say something. It's not a bad thing, just raise the red flag, give me a call.
Julie Green, I did reach out to, we had, the transition of 8 weeks because of what you were stating.
Yep.
And I did reach out to the auditor's office, and they said that they would be willing to do one-on-one training. I didn't realize that I was to contact you, so thank you for letting me know that.
Well, you contacted me well in advance, so
and that's
you knew
okay.
that Mitzi was leaving. So what I'm saying
But I mean, in terms of setting up the Munis training.
And it's okay to reach out to us directly
Okay.
too. I think,
Just
it's
plan ahead.
whatever, whoever, we're
Yeah.
fine. And reaching out to Christy was completely appropriate, and hopefully it worked out well for you. And Christy is a great teacher.
Oh, absolutely. We were instructed that there would be training because Munis is evolving.
Yep.
But that's now delayed, so
Yep.
we probably will have to have a training ahead of Mitzi's departure, at least
Right.
for, I was expecting to be attending training for Munis this month, but I don't believe that's gonna occur.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen, yeah.
So we will be, so do you want me to keep you in the loop with that too?
I mean, all I'm asking is just that as long as you're aware, if you know you have somebody leaving, say something, get a plan in place. Succession planning is really important in this county. And I'm finding it to be very, we have to have some foresight, is what I'm saying. Okay? We can't help that certain people voluntarily quit, I get that. But if we have people in these positions, especially when it comes to when we're doing contracts too, we know there's retro pays, we know that there's lump sums, we have to have people in these positions that understand shift differentials and all the different things that come along with our department.
And Martha Yoder, Trumbull County Auditor, and, we also have, unfortunately, in payroll right now, someone who is starting chemo this week. And so she's very dedicated to her job, probably more than she needs to be. But, as we have changes, that's going to make things harder. Will be in chemo for 12 weeks, and, then surgery in February.
And we have accounted for that. I
Yep,
mean, we
absolutely. We have a lot of
processes in
support
place.
there. We
Right.
have, the other person that is our main payroll clerk is there. We also have Mark Malacki, who's just great at everything.
And I offered
we're
to step in and
we're
help.
kind of convinced he's a droid, but, but he's great. He's just great. But it is, it's a difficult time, and I don't want to panic folks because we're handling it. But any type of help that we can get as far as, somebody's leaving, talk to us right away. And we'll help, we'll even help, I've offered to other public officials, we'll help even with your vetting, with the process, the hiring process. I can have Christy sit down and look through resumes, and she can tell if somebody has the knowledge they need to know.
Alex, I had this question come up from an employee last week. Yeah, there are a lot of people transferring, there are a lot of positions come open every day.
Yep.
We've got sanitary jobs, it seems like weekly.
Yep.
Where is the main source if the public or if an employee wants to see all of the postings? Do we have a central area where they can check every day and these are all the comings and goings?
Human Resources website.
Yep.
We're currently in the process of revamping that. It is extremely outdated. However, nonetheless, right now you can currently go to the Human Resources website, and the jobs are all posted there,
You
as
see
well
them
as
all
the
on there?
applications. Yep, they're all there.
Right, and then how does the employee transfer thing relate to that?
So you
How
have
would
to
they know that, I
remember,
guess?
so you have to remember, depending on union, so that everybody has a different contract. I have 18 contracts in this county, now 19 with the auditor. There's 19 contracts, I have to stress that. It's not as simple as, So one contract gets automatic bid for another contract, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean the same for a different union to a different union. So I can't answer that question without a convoluted answer. So the best case scenario would be, reach out to HR if you have a question on your
But if an employee sees a job in another department, they can reach out to you and then figure out
They
if
put
they
in a
have
bid.
rights to transfer first.
Yep.
Or if it's gotta go through the whole interview
Well,
process.
they should read their contract, because it's written within their contract. So let me just stress that. It's spelled out specifically under, usually it's under vacancies and promotion or bidding process, underneath their collective bargaining agreement. It's baked into every collective bargaining agreement for that reason. So the employee should feel empowered to go look at their own contract and see what their process is. But if they have any questions, that's what HR is here for. So have them reach out.
So every job is posted though, that they can see it on your site.
So first of all, we contractually have to post every job, yeah. So if it's a union job, we have to open it up to the union first. Union always gets preferential treatment. They get the first bid. So if there's somebody within the union, we have one currently in the, we have union bids going on right now for a position, that's all I'm gonna say, for the building inspection department. So that'll be forthcoming. But we did have 2 union bids put in, and they get preferential treatment.
And before it goes out to the bid to the public,
Correct.
you have to, per
That's right.
union contract, you have to advertise it with the
That's right.
union.
Now, we can advertise it at the same time. So what we're doing in HR is we're trying to save time here, because what we see is the longer time that we wait to award a position, these people are dropping down like flies, okay? I mean, I just lost somebody, and I literally interviewed I had somebody ready to roll within weeks. So what we're doing is we're going internal and external at the same time. So what that allows us to do is, we of course take anybody internally who applied first, but let's just be smart and think about this. If we didn't have any internal bids, we also posted it externally, which means we're ready to roll with external bids at the
And
same time.
that's what we learned
So,
from
which
one
I
of my
thought, yeah.
positions,
Yep.
right? So I have had, 3 positions
Yeah.
that we've filled recently. And so on the second 2, the first one, we didn't do it this way, but on the second 2, as we posted internally, so every single union member saw that we just posted within the office. We also did external postings on Indeed, and every office is a little bit different. We like to use Indeed because that's something that, Mr. Hannaford has used in the past, and so he's kind of become sort of my helper when it comes to employees and things like that. So we posted on Indeed and anywhere else that we could as well concurrently. None of those positions did we get any internal
No.
interest, because they were entry level. So we kind of anticipated, particularly on the last 2, that it would be like that. So we posted concurrently so that we would be able to fill it a little bit faster.
Are there any departments that don't cooperate in that, or are there any jobs that come open that people transfer to that the public or other employees never saw?
No, so HR, that's our sole responsibility. We make sure that everybody's made aware of every job in this
I
county.
just wanna make that
Yeah.
clear, 'cause that's what I heard, someone said, oh, so-and-so got a job, we never even knew about it, and it
Well,
posted it,
chances
they
are-
transferred over, and...
Chances are, I will say, they're not paying attention to their email, or the fact that we post jobs every day. I mean, yesterday we posted 3 jobs, the HR department. So there's countless emails going out, and not only that, to the employees, but we reach out to the NAAC, and we reach out to local churches.
And do we
reach
post
out-
them anywhere
Absolutely. Oh, they're in the
on
hallway.
bulletin boards for
Yeah,
people?
right in
Okay.
the HR mailbox, or right in the HR little shadow box over there. Anything that you want, you can be found over there. We pull them down as soon as they come down. Becky and I, like I said, we are a team of 2, and we're mighty. So we don't miss a beat. We've posted for Julie. We've actually filled 2 jobs for Julie.
Thank you.
We've filled multiple for the auditor's department since I've been here. I can't find anybody for my department, but I can find for everybody else. So.
Well, we were close.
We were close, gosh darn it, including your journal clerk. And I actually gave them 10 applications. I screened those down by myself from 67 applicants. So we're filling every position as soon as they are becoming open. But with that being said, I have to stress, clerk positions for the sheriff's office, we posted those for them just recently. We have to kind of really make sure that we're moving fast and thinking about what we want in these candidates, and that we're allowing time for training. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
And where are we with our journal clerk?
I have not had a chance to review those, but I will make a point of it, I promise.
I mean, listen, I will offer to you, I don't want to take over this process, so I would feel I should empower you as the current interim clerk to make a decision of who you want to interview.
Okay.
Let me know, and I will be more than happy, like I said, to do the interviews with you, to help expedite the process, whatever we can do.
Julie Green, thank you, Alex, for assisting
You're
with the postings, because that is a large part of the, the task associated with filling these positions.
Yeah.
And I can attest, I think we had over 50 applicants, and like you said, it takes time to review each resume and decide who will be interviewed. We had the same issue as Bob, where we set up, I don't know, 10 interviews, and half didn't respond. But I don't understand that. Why are you taking the time to apply if you're not going?
A lot of them have gotten other jobs, or, you
Yeah.
never know.
I mean, it was immediately, though. I mean,
Wow.
we were I mean, that was within the 30-day window of it being posted. I mean, we started, before the posting came down, we started sending out emails. We would like to set up an interview, tried to contact. And then, of those, we had a couple of no-shows. So it's just an interesting work
It's the market right now,
environment.
It is.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
market is really tough right now, which is why, Julie, thank you for pointing that out. We're trying to do everything we can to get them right as soon as, you know what I mean?
Right.
And even then, they
Right.
still don't come in, so.
And for us, it's not so much no-shows that we had, I don't think we had anybody that was a no-show, but we did have, like, non-responsive. So, like, what we did for this most recent one is our GIS clerk is, I had someone from, a GIS tech, I had Tim and myself, and we reviewed the resumes a couple of times, like, different as they came in, and Tim would contact for interviews, and we would have just no response.
And then one more thing, just to make sure everybody knows, HR has also put out an SOP. We have to have background checks and drug screens done before we even entertain the employment. That's another thing that I wanna make sure the commissioners understand, that takes time. Okay, a background check can take anywhere from 2 weeks to months, unfortunately, depending on the history of the applicant. Drug tests is quicker, we've switched to on-demand, which has been really amazing, by the way. They are quick. But I just want everybody here to know that HR is putting forth the best foot they can to get applicants in here as soon as possible.
Very good.
You're welcome.
Stacy, where are you with your plan for a potential move?
Casey Bond, 911. Feasibility study is at Bill Danzo's office for review right now, the RFP. So he's reviewing to make sure all our i's are dotted and t's are crossed as far as the legal side of it. We had a discussion, I believe, Tuesday, or late last week, Thursday. I can't remember. There were all days are running together here lately. But, we had about a half-hour conversation over it. We're on the same page. He knows what we're looking for. I know what he's looking for, so he's reviewing it. I'm hoping we'll get that back, by the end of this week or early next week, so we can get it to you guys, to get it out for advertisement. Get that done, because I think, you know, about a 30-day process there to get the bids back and everything. We're gonna have them review 3 locations that we have on the radar. Obviously, we have kind of a pecking order of the ones we like, and what we think will pass the feasibility study in itself and be appropriate for our use. So that's kind of where we are with that. We do have 4 new employees that are going through the training process. We have several more that are ready to go through the pipeline, but we don't have enough people to train them because there's 4 currently in training. So we have to kind of try to stagger those through and work through that. Still short-staffed, still trying to get those numbers up. It for us right now. We are gonna have a meeting, one more thing I forgot. We're gonna have a meeting with the police chiefs and the fire chiefs on Thursday, the 12th, to discuss the increase of fees. We've already received a little bit of blowback from some of the agencies, but you could be the new person that comes in and raises fees, but you haven't had fees raised in 10 years, so you should have expected it and you have known about it. So in order for us to provide a better service, we need technology and equipment, computers and everything at our building are over 10 years old. At my previous county, we are on a 3-year rotation for replacing equipment because they're ran 24/7, 365. So, right now, because we're short-staffed and we only have, 6 positions, maybe 7 at any given time, we have a spare computer, so if one dies, we can pull it from another position. Sometimes you don't have that luxury when you're full-staffed and something breaks, so that's why we replace those on kind of a preemptive schedule. So in order for us to provide better service, we need more people, we need more staff, we need better equipment, and those all things take money. As everybody knows, everything's costing more right now, so.
How's the tech stuff working out without Roger and working with IT?
We're having no issues with IT. We're working good with them, also with our vendors, Brightspeed. We're working on some things. I've actually asked Tim, Hanford to get a quote for upgrading our bandwidth. previous county, I would spend $5,000 a month for bandwidth, because that was paying for 4 entities. Here you only pay for the 911 center, because Niles and Lordstown pay their own connectivity. So they're only paying $400 a month, but they're only getting 100 meg. I get a gig at my house, just so my kids can game and I can watch Netflix. So obviously for our 911 center, we need to get those speeds higher than 100. That all impacts our ability to service, CAD speeds going slow. So I'm looking to increase that and see what kind of quotes we can get. I know back in Huron County before I left, we increased our speed and our quote actually went down because technology has changed and the demand for high-speed internet and whatnot. So Tim's working on getting a quote for that to see if we can increase that, but that's all dependent on budget, which, I met with Christy the other day and had a crash course in music. Gotta say, I'm not a big fan, I like VIP better, but so we're working through that. I had to talk with her about the budget stuff, we're getting budget numbers, prepared for you guys. Obviously, we're hemorrhaging money left and right because of overtime, and that's not gonna change till we can get full staff, and then you go right back to the whole situation of there's not employees that wanna work.
Well, you were hired in a sense to clean up and move us into the future, so I'm glad to hear that you are updating or you're comparing another county to what we have, and we're a bigger county than where you came from, and the amount of money they put in the other county just seems like it was, rotating everything every 3 years, we got 10-year-old equipment. Yeah, that's why you're there, is to do that, so don't be afraid to keep coming to us and telling us what you need, because part of your job is to make us as good as other counties or better.
I'm glad you said that on record, because I will be coming and asking for money.
I didn't say we're gonna give it to you.
I was gonna say, if I could discuss it real quick. Alex, Human Resources Department, she has talked to me about some of these things, and I obviously, there is something that I wanna make sure, for the record, difference of funding, right? She was levy funded and HUD.
I was gonna bring that up.
Okay, so I really wanna make sure that we kind of level set.
I was
There's a
gonna bring
huge
that up.
difference between tax, via levy, which a lot of our people in here do, Children's Services is here, at the parks. She had that there, we don't have that here, so I just wanna make sure we level set on that. Okay.
I
Right.
was actually gonna comment on that, and that's how I was able to do the things I was able to do in Huron County. We had a levy that brought in $5 million over 5 years.
Right.
Small county, but
Compared to our, so it's very different.
when you look at the numbers, Bill, that $5 million that was brought in, it cost a homeowner of a $110,000 house $25 a year. That's a trip to McDonald's. You know what I mean? And everybody there supported it. It passed with flying colors. I'm thinking they're gonna be renewing it this year, which, if they're smart, they will. But to that end, we're funded, by the commissioners and by the state wireless cell phone fees. That's still a huge issue at the state level. They promoted it to 70 cents, it got dropped back to 60, now it's at 40, or 60 cents, but you get 40% of that 60 cents. I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but what it ends up being now, that 25 cents is gonna end up being 28 cents. So a whopping 3 cents more that we'll see isn't gonna do anything. Originally, when they were talking 70 cents, you take our number that we get, which I think is like 1.3 from the state, multiply that by 3, that money would impact us. So that's why we're trying to raise the fees that have been neglected for the last 10 years of not being done. If we go with the proposal that I'm trying to push, it should bring in an extra $400,000 to $500,000 for 911, which is great if we continue, getting our original budget to cover wages and leave that $500,000 alone, because then we could do the equipment and the necessary upgrades. We could add text to 911 and all the things with technology that, our next gen 911 that, the state is pushing. So, kind of where we're at.
We did have a hefty wireless fund at there at one time, but then we were using that wireless fund to pay employees as well, because we were allowed to do that. That depleted it a lot.
Right.
So we need to replenish that, obviously.
Yeah, and the issue we're facing is you have an extreme amount of overtime going out, but yet you're so understaffed as far as numbers. It's cheaper to pay the overtime than it would be if you had 5 more employees, but that also leads to the issue of poor morale, the repetitive cycle of people calling in sick because, they've worked 80 hours of, in a 40-hour week. So then they get burnt out, they call in sick, and then it just snowballs that.
But it's not for lack of us trying to hire.
No,
You know what I mean?
not at all,
That's
not at all.
the
We're trying to
difference.
hire, the problem
We
is,
just can't retain.
when we get 4, we lose 2.
Right.
So we're just, everybody's facing it, it's global
And you do have a new logo, and there are some marketing plans too, to make the job more attractive.
Yep, we just updated the website with Kirkland's help, from IT. That should be launching live. It's in test mode right now, but that's, up. New signage should be going up here within the next couple of weeks. Yeah, trying, baby steps.
Martha Yoder.
Just a couple things. Martha Yoder, Trumbull County Auditor. You brought up the TID. I did wanna let you know that on Friday, Auditor Meacham from Mahoning County reached out to me about theirs and gave me a little bit of advice, which was very helpful. And I'm gonna be reaching out to some other counties as well, just to kind of get, a better understanding of how they do things and all of that. But that was super helpful. I'm gonna save all of our ARPA stuff for later, but there's one thing that's sort of ARPA tangential, okay? I talked a little bit last week about, we had two projects that we funded already, which were sort of leading to other projects. So the engineering on the JFS windows was done, and I think that was, $7,500 that we spent on it, but that was also the second time that engineering was done. We have a rough number on that, what it's gonna cost for those windows, about $200,000. Also engineering was done for work at the engineers building, on North River Road, including the HVAC, but that's also windows. What else?
Windows, like a P-TEC unit, like a hotel, heating and cooling combined, and electrical upgrades. They do have federal Pacific breakers
And we don't have numbers on that yet. We're hoping soon.
by the end of this week.
What my question is for you guys is, are you leaning towards doing that, either of those through ARPA, or should we be starting to look at this as wrapping this into the other, notes that we're going to be looking at for the two roofs? Because, for those two roofs, we have, for our loan, for the note, we're doing, something called OMAP through I've explained this once to you guys, through the state treasurer's office. We lost our Moody's rating, because of how, our debt is, right? You have to have a certain kind of debt, and we paid those debts off, which is great. But because of that, we don't have a rating. And in this environment right now, not having a rating is not helpful at all. And, well, in any environment, but particularly now, it reduces the pool of people that we can borrow from. And so what the OMAP does is two things. It gets us a S&P rating, which will help expand that. The other thing that happens is, because it's through the treasurer's office, is they back that note. So if something happens, like, the economy crashes or something like that, those lenders, will back it. Or the treasurers, they can go to the state for us. So it's a safer bet for them to lend to us.
So we're looking like 200,000 and 200, roughly 400,000-ish?
We don't know for sure on the highway engineer, still have Trumbull County maintenance, because we don't have that number yet for RFP.
Okay.
So once, PSA, Bill Mechanic, gets us that number for the RFP, then we'll exactly know what that number will be for the construction cost.
And we never did, there was never a full application done on this part of this project, so it's not on either one of your spreadsheets. I do want it to stay on your radar.
But what I'm thinking is, I received a call this week from Trumbull Neighborhood Partnership, and they said with the money from the Ween building, we had appropriated about $2 million for the
Right.
construction of the Ween building. Our cost is gonna come in about $280,000.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked over the phone, he said, can we just apply that to all these other demolitions we have through the county and utilize the rest, the other 1.7 or whatever, to the other projects they have? I can't give an answer to that, but it is something where that's money was appropriated towards buildings, I guess, in a
Right.
sense. And if we could take maybe 400 out of that and then still allow Neighborhood Partnership to demo some other houses there, but not the whole amount of what they thought it would be for the Ween, then we could possibly take some out of there without touching what the remaining budget is that we already have in ARPA right now.
Right.
Just reallocating the funds that we know aren't gonna be utilized to the fullest extent of what they were intended for.
So I guess my question is if you guys are, I mean, and again, this isn't a today thing. This is me keeping this on your radar and reminding you that, hey, we've got these things hanging out there and we have to figure out which way we're gonna go. The thing with the OMAP and putting them in on that is we do need to know as we go forward in that if we're gonna have to amend it, because part of that OMAP that's different from other things is, first of all, there's the application process that we go through, and we have to sort of account for what we're borrowing for.
Well, we have the elevators, we have the engineer roof.
The elevator is already, that note's already done. So when we're yes, that's a note that's
We have a
done.
911 center we're gonna have to move and
Right.
refurnish,
But when we're talking about upcoming borrowing, that borrowing is already accomplished.
okay?
The elevators, we've got the money sitting in our account.
In my opinion, we borrow we use those two projects, we borrow the money, as long as there's no, I know the engineer's project needs to move forward, but we wrap that into one note,
Well,
with those two projects. And we're already inundated with ARPA requests, where we
Well, and
can't,
that's kind of what I'm asking is, do we wanna just start, so what we're right now on the OMAP application, we have the two roofs that, and I always wanna call the plural of roofs, but it's roofs, two roofs. But we have the two roofs. It does sound weird, that's why I keep saying it, hoping that it'll sound right after I say it enough times. For the engineers on, the Cortland building.
Right.
And, the Stone building. So we have those two that we're planning to borrow from at approximately
Well, it's
$3
more than just the
million.
roof.
Yes.
It's the whole inside upgrade,
Okay.
like we're doing the courthouse. So hard, Trumbull County maintenance, VAV boxes, new boiler, new, preheat for the rooms, new thermostats, it's gonna be an overall electronic upgrade like you're doing now. So, the roof is included because the unit on the roof is bad, so it's gonna come off.
Okay, I think we're talking about two different things. I'm talking about the roof at the engineers building in Portland.
Stone building too.
Yes, Stone building and that. So that's, but we're talking, as far as amount for the
Okay.
borrowing, we're talking about $3 million between the two. Is that correct? I thought it was 1.4 or 1 point. Yeah, we've got the figures.
But the 1.3 was for the whole building.
Right, okay. But the Stone building and the, engineers building in Cortland that we've heard so much about, that's at about $3 million that we're planning to borrow for. Possibly 911, but hopefully if you get the one that you want, no.
We'll still need money
Yeah,
for furnishings, equipment,
great.
reconfiguration.
But as far as those, we're in the process on OMAP on just those two. It sounds like you're thinking that we want, at least Commissioner, that we would wanna add that into that. And it is
feel
better
comfortable
to
with that.
borrow it all at once.
All at once.
Yes.
And, obviously, what history has showed us, we've been very conservative, almost to a fault, as far as not borrowing enough. Unfortunately, you get sort of penalized for that, so, I think that this debt would be good debt to actually carry right now, so.
Right.
That's my opinion.
And we're not doing anything today, I'm just trying to get a feel for it. And I think we'll probably have a better idea after today's ARPA meeting and how much of that, what we have left, you guys make some commitments to today.
Julie Green?
Commissioner, you mentioned that you spoke with TNP. It was my understanding that the remainder of those funds was to be used as match money for them to apply for additional brownfield remediation funds. Was that discussed?
He didn't say anything about that, he just said he had numerous projects throughout the county, and he wanted to know if he could adapt the remaining amount of that $2 million into, raising and demolishing the houses they had on their list that was through multiple townships.
Okay, well.
Now, maybe there is match money that goes with that, I don't know, he didn't express it that way. He just said, hey, you appropriated us $2 million, we're only gonna use like $280,000, can we just go ahead and apply the rest of that money to these other projects that we
Right.
delineated on our radar?
Yeah, it was briefly discussed at the last land bank meeting that they're planning on applying for round 2 of the Ohio Brownfield funding.
Okay,
which was, I believe, what the money was allocated for the first round, in order to be able to secure those grant funds. So I don't know if.
and that's what we need to check too. I don't know, I wasn't here for that, I just know the
I'll,
amount, but what was in the actual grant
yeah.
itself, I don't know.
I'll follow up with, Lisa Ramsey or Matt Martin, if you'd like, to just clarify
It was Matt that I talked to, and
Okay.
he followed up again the other day and asked if we'd made a decision yet, and I, we haven't had a chance to talk about it yet, so.
But it's an existing resolution that's already committed, so unless it's changed or rescinded,
Right,
then.
But it
I
wasn't,
said-
the existing resolution was not for ARPA funds though.
Oh, it was just general
Yep.
fund money.
That's
Right.
what we've looked at it. There was never an application done for the ARPA on that, and that's why we
Yeah,
didn't
there was
include
no
it.
designated, Jim Masaki, there was no designated fund for that money.
But the board was with the intent of using ARPA money for that.
It was a known quantity at the time that ARPA money could be used for that purpose. It wasn't so designated.
So it didn't come out of ARPA funds?
It's
no.
not, we're not talking about the Wing building. We're talking about the brownfield one. And that's why we didn't include it in any of our spreadsheets, because it was never actually done as, through the process that was set up.
Right.
And so that's something you guys are probably going to need to think about, is whether you want to honor that resolution or rescind it. But it was not, and it may very well have been, that was the intent, but it wasn't stated in the resolution. We've looked at the resolution.
Well,
And that's, we've had a change in the board, and obviously.
Right, and it was
that's something
never-
that has to be looked at.
Right, and you guys need to think about that,
Sure.
if that's what you wanna do. What was the resolution? Do you have it with you?
I don't,
Was it, how much was it?
it was 2.5.
Julie Green, Trumbull County, just to, when I find out, I'll follow back, or maybe they'll even want to come and discuss it at your meeting. I'll leave that up to them, but, you know, as with any other grant funding, you need match money to be able to do these major projects, and without that funding, I don't know if it would even be a competitive application, so.
Right.
Well, that's when you found out how much match they need, even if we get a couple $100,000 back, we definitely can use it. We've got $20 million in asks from ARPA and $10 million in the account, so any little bit that comes back is gonna help another community with another
Sure.
project.
Just, you know, with regard to that and why I didn't include it, there was a lot of confusion at the beginning of this process, and I tried to include everything that was black and white,
Yeah.
and that had been run through the attorney and actually had been allocated or promised. But at the very beginning, in the, I guess we would call it the embryonic stages of this process, things weren't very clear. And when it came up between the two of us, one of the things I looked at was the actual wording of the resolution, and it did not say ARPA.
Mhm.
So that's why I never included it as part of a promise.
Mhm.
You understand?
Mhm.
Okay.
Julie Green, one question for you. Since that original amount was not allocated using the appropriate language, and now I believe they are requesting those funds for that demolition that's completed or being completed, will that have to be revised?
Yeah.
I believe so, yeah, Jim Masaki.
So who will?
Yeah, because the actual application
Do
said
that.
$2 million for the
Yeah.
demolition of the Ween building.
Right.
Mhm.
So anything that's, if they go back and use that, whatever's left for any other purpose,
Mhm.
so the money sort of goes back in the pot,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And then it has to get reallocated, and it would have to do a separate application, whether it's for brownfield or
Home demolition.
home demolition.
Is that money that's not accounted for because the wing demolition is not gonna take up the $2 million, is that back into the pot now?
Yeah,
Are we figuring
I
that
would-
into the money?
No,
that's
I
available?
have not put it in there, no.
Okay, all right,
I still have
all right.
what I.
That's helpful.
2 million, because I haven't,
That's-
officially, I had 1.8 at one point that was left,
Okay.
and I didn't, we weren't, I felt like it should not go back into the pot
Okay,
until
so
the
that's-
demolition was completed.
So those
and
numbers that we
had
have in
everything
the,
tied up,
and the chart that we have
Yep.
is not inclusive of that money,
correct,
which is great.
correct.
Okay, very good.
And Jim Masaki, that's why I said there was soft money when we talked
Right.
about
Yes.
it before. You know, so.
That's
Julie
what
wants to say something.
Yeah.
I was, just to clarify regarding the, payment of the funds, I'm just thinking of how we do our projects. Is someone being reimbursed that amount, that 280, that you said Matt Martin quoted you?
I don't know.
Have they
when,
asked
they
for
have
any
not-
of the funding?
That's more of a sheriff question, I guess,
Okay,
at this point.
and I
He
guess,
just asked what they can do with the remainder of it, you know, if they,
They
that
haven't,
was
they
automatically
haven't,
theirs
it's
to
set
plan on.
aside, but I don't think that anything has been paid, if
I'm
that's your
thinking
question.
of the current project and whether or not the appropriate language is in place for spending the money for the Wien building. That's my question. Doesn't sound like it is.
I'm not sure.
Well, if the original resolution didn't mention ARPA, and we have to pass a resolution for
No,
ARPA.
the original resolution, I'm talking about the original resolution for the brownfield.
Okay.
That's when I say that 2.5, we found that resolution that they committed 2.5, but it didn't say ARPA.
Okay.
Well, part of that
But it did say
2.5
Wien building in it.
No, this is, it's
Those are
completely.
you're talking about
two
two
different
different things, okay.
And I have not
Okay.
looked, would need to look at the resolution
Okay.
for the Wien building.
Okay.
That's kind of before my time, and I had it as accounted from there, so I haven't examined every resolution, but that has definitely, there was an application for that,
Correct.
and that, you know, went through that process where it was sent to the attorney.
Yeah, legal
And all
counsel
of that.
approved it.
There's a process. The 2.5 for the brownfield happened before they even had a process.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Martha, early on, when you first started, you had an idea about buying the parking lot out back.
Oh,
That's a little late.
actually, I had something about, I've actually gotten complaints. So Alex, Stephen Jones, Human Resources Front, I'm getting complaints from specific employees as well as even a department head. With the construction of the Wien building, obviously you guys can see that it's taken up a lot of county parking for. So, you know, JFS specifically, they don't have designated parking. The Trumbull County Sheriff's Office, when they're corrections officers, we are all competing for literally 2 rows of parking. I wanna make, 2 full rows, cause there's 4 short rows. And the churches pay to park. There is very minimal free parking for our employees, and I am getting some complaints come in here and there. What are we doing about the parking? What are we doing about the parking? So I did wanna, I hate to say that, but I gotta bring it back up, so I've let you guys know that.
To my knowledge, and I haven't seen the transfer go through, but the property was purchased.
Talk to the gentleman. He was supposed to, I asked him to come to the meeting today, the workshop, to express, he was willing to, deal with the county to rent the parking at the McFarland at this end where everybody parks, instead of going more towards where the building is at, the funeral home.
So the 2 parcels that where we're parking now, there's 2, if you look at the thing, it's 3 parcels total, and I believe, and there were 2 parcels that, face Armin, that
Yeah,
people are,
so it would
yeah,
be the front or.
yeah, it looks like one big thing, but it's actually 2 parcels.
But it's nothing additional, but it's what we're currently utilizing, right?
Right, which
So
is,
that's what I'm trying to,
Right,
outside
but we
of,
don't wanna lose what we're currently utilizing.
no, I don't
Someone
disagree,
bought it.
but I just wanna make sure that we understand outside of what we currently are using, there's above and beyond a need for additional. Just,
His name is, name's Mike, he used to work at, the Ford dealership down the street, Claiborne, Charleston. But yeah, I asked him to come here to present, if the county was interested in renting the parking
Was it,
up here, but,
it's not Jim Valesky, is it?
yes, that's it. Wanted for $80-some thousand, by the time it was all said, a little over 100. So, I said, he has to come here, I can't speak to, because these are parking spots that, you know, we own the entire parking lot. We have a gravel spot that we can have paved and made. So, once the garage comes down, we'll have parking, once the Wien building will be green space.
We could've bought that property for under $100,000, we didn't.
It went auction to $80-some thousand, by the time you bid it, over 100.
Damn it.
maybe we can just keep our eyes open for I don't know.
How much does he want to rent it for? Is it,
I didn't ask because it's not, I mean, it's not our property. We're parking across the street, our county vehicles that
Right,
I think
understand.
Judge O'Neill still owns, so, and I know that the Y is gonna expand here shortly, I think they're gonna buy this house up next door, across the street. I don't know what's all involved with their expansion of the Y here.
We're getting a little landlocked is what's happening, and, and I know this sounds,
Should've spoke up louder, Martha.
I gave you a beautiful presentation.
You did.
I know it sounds really silly, but from a human resources perspective, little things like, and don't shoot, you know, but little things like people having to pay to park, that's a deterrent from people wanting to work here. People not having safe, lit up parking is a deterrent from people wanting to work here, especially as we get into the later, you know, when we get into November, December, it's dark, and I know for a fact we work late. Some of us work late. I mean, nobody wants to go out there by themselves. We're parked, I see employees parking all the way over.
Is there anything else for sale back there, like where the Ween building's gonna be coming down, or any of the
We
other
own the
stuff?
whole lot.
We own
We own
that.
that whole lot.
Yeah, that's
So,
a temporary
yeah.
condition.
That is a temporary issue, but,
As long as it's not, if it's gonna be green space, so that's not.
right, I don't know
even
how
less
much of it's
parking.
green space and how much of it, I don't know what the plan is.
So
Well,
maybe.
it's our lot.
Yeah, so that's what I'm kinda saying, maybe you guys could rethink what we're doing with that space, I'm just throwing it out there, that's what I would do. I
Well,
think it
but-
should be a
but I
parking
think
slot, but hey,
some of
that's
the-
here nor there.
The TNT was, some of that's grant, right, and so
Yeah,
it
so,
might be contingent upon,
yeah.
Okay.
So Julie Green, we'd met with them, I don't know, what, 2 years ago to discuss this? Jim, do you recall?
Oh, yes.
To discuss the reuse of the property, and at that time, there was no objections to the plan. I mean, I believe there's still time to change it if that's what the commissioners wanna do.
Well, they were gonna use good solid fill and then
Mhm.
put topsoil or something to have grass,
Level it out
at
and,
least on a temporary
Yeah.
basis.
Okay.
You could have to, you could look at it on an as-needed basis. I think it was last spring.
I would like to mention for the people that aren't aware, Eastgate conducted a, parking study, probably, I wanna say 5 or 6 years ago. We might still have it, but the findings are that people, there's plenty of parking in downtown Warren. It's just a matter of
Across
the,
from the post office, if JFS wanted to park there, we have a whole parking lot that's unused.
across from the post office?
Yeah.
Okay.
but to her point,
And it's not a paid lot?
No.
Okay.
It's our lot.
it's a matter of perception, how far people are willing to
I
walk,
get it.
the
But-
lighting.
But at least if we
time of
offer
day.
something, you know what I mean?
well, and that's a big factor, is
Yeah.
the time of day.
Mhm. But if we at least are offering it, I mean, that
Yeah,
looks a
that's
lot
our
better
lot.
than, you know what I mean, than, sorry, find somewhere else to park, you know what I mean? Okay.
And there's a lot behind our building as well that's never full,
Martha?
that's owned by the county.
Would you like me to reach out to
Over
the
there,
owner,
CSA.
the new owner of the, to see what he's proposing?
Yes.
Yeah, or you can come to a meeting and propose
That's
it.
fine. Text me his information.
He's also the head of the Warren Heritage Center.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Work the best deal you can for the most parking spots and see what he says.
Former Warren councilman.
Yes, he is, yeah.
Oh, good, then he should.
Let's see what we can do.
Okay, anybody else have anything for the good of the order?
I'd like to announce, Julie Green, the fair housing presentation for the Community Development Block Grant funding is Tuesday, October 17th at the Warren City Schools Administration Building at 10 a.m., free and open to the public. We'll post it here in the Commissioner's office. This is a required element of our, administration of the, larger Community Development Block Grant Program.
Nothing else? Motion to adjourn?
Well, and we will, before I second that, we have, reconvene in this building or this room at 2:00.
Yeah.
For those listening, it will be live streamed in some sense, whether it be, via audio if we're sitting at this table or via stream video, and then to follow on YouTube, if we go the other route. So we encourage participation in that, and then tomorrow, Commissioner, just wanna remind you, we have an enterprise zone agreement public hearing tomorrow morning
For Millwood.
At 10 a.m. and,
Yes, I didn't get.
and I second your motion.
About the ARPA
Thank you.
meeting, so I didn't know anything about it.
Yes.
Appointment this afternoon, getting a lot
Yes.
of emails from Lawrence sending me stuff for department head stuff. So I'll try to have Patty call in, because I know we have a couple things on there.